Yes, that was the Super Bowl, the biggest sporting event in the US every single year, but it's also the biggest week for trailers dropping. So today I'm going to stop and rank every Super Bowl movie trailer from the worst to the best. While I'm talking, be sure to join me down below in the comment section. Let me know your favorite of the movie trailers that dropped for the Super Bowl. As we go into this, some of them dropped a few days early, some of them had multiple versions. It's complicated. The big idea is I'm ranking them based off how effective was their Super Bowl marketing at getting my attention, raising my excitement, all of that fun stuff. One more thing before we get started. Today's video is brought to you by Factor. Life is crazy busy for me right now. I've got 3 kids at 3 different schools. I care about my diet, but I don't have enough time to develop delicious and healthy meals. Factor is the perfect option if you're looking for fast, upscale options done easily like me. Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals make eating better every day easy. You get pre-prepared, chef-crafted, and dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. Factor meals are 100% ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes. No prep, no mess meals. You'll have over 35 different options a week to choose from, including keto, calorie smart, vegan, veggie plus, and more. I go with keto because I'm a high protein, low carb kind of guy. Get as much or as little as you need by choosing 6 to 18 meals per week. Plus you can pause or reschedule your deliveries anytime. Head to factormeals.com/SeanChandler50 and use code SeanChandler50 to get 50% off. That's code SeanChandler50 at factormeals.com/SeanChandler50 to get 50% off. The link is down below in the description. And let's get started. Last, the Thundermans Return. Now, I don't know if this one aired on the national broadcast, but I streamed the Super Bowl on Paramount Plus, and I definitely got a promo for whatever this thing is. Apparently, it's a movie continuation of a Nickelodeon TV show from 10 years back, and I'm sure to its target audience, when they were at the right age, this would have looked fantastic, but as just a random grown man that saw the trailer for it, it looked awful. It's a Nickelodeon sitcom superhero story, so it looks incredibly cheap because it is. So I am totally not the target demographic for this thing. So my whole family was like, what on earth are we looking at right now? That's why it's so important to run your promos, your trailers in front of the right people in the right context, because when you run something like this for the proper nostalgia crowd, they're like, oh, cool, we're getting one more of these 5 years later or whatever. When you run it in front of the wrong people, we're like, what is this crap? 12, Wicked Part 1. I had a lot of people asking me what I thought about this trailer. Am I going to do a reaction? In fact, my mother texted me to ask, are you going to do a trailer reaction for Wicked Part 1? I think that's the first time my mother has ever asked me if I was going to do a trailer reaction. I like the song Defying Gravity. Besides that, I just don't have any interest in Wicked at all. Like my wife, my sister, they're all into musical theater, so I'm well aware of what Wicked is, but nothing about it has ever drawn me to it. I've never cared to watch it in any of its forms or listen to any of the other songs besides Defying Gravity. So the fact that they're making a Wicked movie, it's not for me. Like, I'm not the target audience. I don't really care about it. That's why I wasn't interested in doing a trailer reaction. And then I finally watched the trailer after the game, and to me, it felt like two contrasting things that both were kind of negatives to me. I thought it looked like that, whatever that over-processed look is, where everything's just too bright, with the way that it's colored, that feels like television to me, not like cinema. And so it felt like network television version of Wicked, but then it also would cut to these big scenes of like spectacle and bridges collapsing and battles and stuff like that that felt like generic blockbuster stuff. And so it was two different versions of to me, a bad version of The Wizard of Oz. The network television made for TV movie look of it combined with let's turn everything into a gigantic spectacle. And that's a bad combination. So this trailer did not do its job in wowing me and getting me interested in something that I was never really interested in. 11, Kung Fu Panda 4. Really, this was just an additional TV spot. I thought it was fine, but I think that's part of the problem because I think the first trilogy of Kung Fu Panda movies are really good, in particular the first two films. And both the trailer they put out a few weeks back and then the spots just feel like they're fine. There's like a charming little joke or whatever in there, but they feel like more lowbrow and crass than I remember the original trilogy being. And that's all it's really offering, in particular the Super Bowl spots. So I can't really put it particularly high on the list because it didn't really raise my excitement. Bringing us into the top 10, Inside Out 2 TV spot. And this one was good. It didn't do anything wrong. It just didn't really move the needle. We got the teaser trailer, a month or two back, and I thought it did a good job of like letting us know more's coming. Here's how it's a little bit different. Here's where Riley is at. And so then we get this TV spot, and it's just a little bit more of that. It didn't really do anything to like catch my attention, raise my excitement. It didn't really move the needle. It just kind of stayed where it was at. Like, right, okay, cool. I'm sure for people that hadn't seen the previous trailers, it was good for Disney to put this out there in front of the Super Bowl audience, but it wasn't like a wow kind of trailer that did anything particularly memorable for me personally. 9, Imaginary. This is kind of an interesting year where we're getting two different imaginary friend movies, and both of these movies ran spots during the Super Bowl. And so we got our first, I believe it was the first trailer that we got for this film this past week, and then they ran the TV spot for it. This is a Blumhouse production horror film about an imaginary friend that is not so imaginary and not so friendly. And so I was very kind of middle of the road on it. Half of it I was kind of like, okay, this feels kind of like generic Blumhouse stuff, maybe taking itself a little bit too seriously given the premise. And then other parts I was like, that was kind of good. I thought that kind of worked. So this is one where the trailer itself didn't make me go, oh, wow, I can't wait to see that. But it did put me right in that spot where it's like, I'm curious. Like, I could see this one going either way. The tone might be a little bit off. It's probably a little bit too serious. That is my fear with this one. Maybe too generic, but there might be just enough in there. But like when you're like marketing, it's like from the people that gave us Megan, part of the way that Megan stood out was because of its personality. That flavor that you got from the Megan doll herself that became iconic, the dance and all of that, the little lines. And this kind of felt like Megan minus the personality. Number 8, Despicable Me 4 TV spot. And I thought this was a nice little way to not put out a new trailer, but do some marketing for the trailer that they already put out. And I thought it did a nice job. So it kicks off talking about AI art. And immediately as we were watching it, my family was like, what on earth is this? And it caught our attention. We were watching it, commenting on the images they put on screen, and then it cut to the minions doing these searches for this AI stuff, and then it said trailer online. So I thought that was an effective piece of marketing, that it let people know something's out there, but it actually did something clever and fun. And that's what you want marketing to do. Catch my attention, make me go, oh, that's out there. Now, I'm not super excited for Despicable Me 4, but I thought this piece of marketing was a really good way to do the marketing for this film. 7, the Fall Guy TV spot. Now, this was not quite a full new trailer, but it was longer than just a 30-second spot. It was like a minute of really selling us on the movie and just kind of how wild and fun it is by promising all of this different stuff that's in the movie, and in a way that it's kind of winking at the audience where it's like, there's aliens, because our lead actor is a stuntman who's in a movie with aliens, but this movie does not exactly aliens. So it just has fun with the premise, playing around with it, a lot of jokes, lot of movie star charisma oozing out of Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, and it feels to me like the kind of movie that I think a lot of people want after how much fun Ryan Gosling was in as Ken last year in Barbie, and this is him doing an action version of fun Ryan Gosling, and this trailer was all about selling us on that, and I think it worked. Number 6, If Imaginary Friend TV spot, our other imaginary friend movie with a spot during the Super Bowl. This was a really fun way to market their movie, where it plays off of a joke from The Office from 10 years ago, one of the more famous bits in that show that has become memed.
Hi, I'm John Krasinski, director of the upcoming film If. Now, If is a movie about...
It's this joke that has transcended the show where it started to the point that it was now the basis for a TV spot that ran during the Super Bowl. And that's the sort of thing that gets people talking. It's the sort of thing that the millions and millions and millions of Office fans will want to share, and they'll want to tell all of their friends about. Oh, did you see they continued that little joke? They did it again in a fun, clever way. And that's very much... Ryan Reynolds is kind of known for clever marketing. I don't know if he came up with this idea, if they're brainstorming. He was watching The Office, was like, why don't we get Randall Park to come in here as John Krasinski? I don't know where it came from, but it's the sort of thing that Ryan Reynolds has always done with the Deadpool movies, and then tying it in with Imaginary Friend. As soon as you're talking about imagination, creativity, you want something fun and different, and that's what they did here to get you talking about it and wanting to share about the movie and the marketing. Now, there wasn't like a ton of like new stuff for the movie, but it did get people talking about the film and activated the entire Office fan base to promote a film. Speaking of John Krasinski, number 5, A Quiet Place Day 1. Now, the first 2 A Quiet Place movies were directed by John Krasinski. He is not directing this one, but he was very involved in the process. And this week, we finally got our first trailer for this spin-off showing the start of the invasion from the A Quiet Place films. And what I think this trailer did very well is feeling dramatically different than our A Quiet Place films that were intentionally incredibly small scale. In particular, the first one, it is only about one family and only a handful of locations. And then the second one's a little bit bigger. There's more characters. It spans up more locations, but still, it's deeply personal. And if you're trying to figure out how do you justify the existence of a spin-off for your franchise, you show it in such a different context. And immediately, this movie looks dramatically bigger. It's in a different context. And it makes you go, oh, yeah, this is the piece that we were missing. We saw the personal side, the aftermath. We saw that prologue in part 2 that showed us in this small town what it looked like. What did this look like in a big city? What was the destruction and chaos when it all first started? What were people doing? And that makes you go, oh, I want to see that. It's bigger in scale, larger in everything that it's doing, and filling in. With prequels and spin-offs, the question is it answering questions I'm actually asking? Is it answering questions I want answers to? And too often the answer is no. In the case of this one, I do want to see this. I do want this gap in the mythology filled in. I want to see a story in this context. I will say this, though, why it's not even higher up on the list, is that it doesn't, it relies a lot on prior knowledge. If you know what A Quiet Place is and you watch this trailer, you go, oh, cool. If you haven't seen A Quiet Place and you watch this trailer, it just looks like generic alien invasion story. And so I think it has a piece to it that perhaps is missing just a little bit for it to be a fully fantastic trailer. But if for A Quiet Place fans, I think this is a nice complement to the previous 2 films, at least as a trailer, if it delivers on all of that. I know someone that saw it at a test screening DM'd me and they said it was good. It's a little slower paced, which is fascinating to me given this trailer. This trailer didn't feel like this would be slower paced. They said it was slower paced. Not that that's a bad thing. It's intentionally slower paced, but it's a nice compliment. And that's what the trailer felt like, except the slower paced part. I'm curious about that feedback that they gave in light of this trailer. In 4th place, Knuckles. I'm absolutely cheating on this one. This is not a movie trailer. This is a trailer for a Paramount Plus streaming series. However, I think you know exactly why I included it in this list. It is a spin-off from the Sonic the Hedgehog movies. Sonic and Tails are prominently featured in it. And I think probably the biggest compliment that I can give the trailer for this TV show is that if it didn't tell me that it was a streaming show, if I didn't already know that, I would have just assumed that this was a movie. I would have assumed it was a spinoff, and I'd go, oh, cool. And I wouldn't have batted an eye. I would have been like, well, that's kind of fun. An interesting way to do something just a little bit different. Let's put someone else in the front seat and then put our previous leads in the back seat. Cool, let's do it. Let's see how this plays out. And so, I mean, it feels like it's keeping up right there with the two Sonic movies, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And like, Knuckles had kind of been on my radar. I was like, oh, let's see what they're going to do. Is it going to be any good? Because a lot of times with these spin-off shows, streaming, Paramount Plus, it isn't the most established. Like, how's it going to be? That's a good trailer. Like, this trailer absolutely did its job and made me go, yeah, I'm excited for the Knuckles show. And like, it's like the year of Sonic this year. We're getting Knuckles, which looks to be really good, and then we're getting Sonic 3 later this year. Cool. In third place, Twisters. Now, I was the perfect age when the original Twister came out. It came out right as I was finishing up the 8th grade, so a big, obnoxious disaster movie. I was all for it. Also, I live in Texas, so tornadoes are kind of the natural disaster that we deal with here. Anyone that's lived here any amount of time, you know someone or you have a story about some tornado scenario where you had to run and escape into a building as a tornado came in. So even for that reason, Twister, just kind of a fun disaster movie, in particular for people that live where I live, and it was huge when it came out. It's the second highest grossing movie of 1996. Sometimes people forget just how popular this movie actually was. I rewatched it just a few years back, had a good time with it. So they're doing a follow-up. It's a standalone follow-up where my interpretation of that is that it's set in the same continuity, but it's not really following up plot points or characters from the previous movies. They'll probably have some cameos, someone will wink at the audience, something like that. Very minor connections to it. It's intended to be its own story, but not really remaking the story that they did before, just the same type of premise, sort of scenario about storm chasers and tornadoes. And we finally got our trailer, and that's what this felt like to me. It felt very true to the look, to the vibe of Twister from 1996, and I think that's largely to the credit of how kind of good the 1996 film was and how good the effects looked, and just kind of having a vibe and aesthetic that still works. Disaster movies haven't really been the flavor of the month for quite a few months. And so it's a little bit of an experiment to see, has it been a while that people are excited for another disaster movie, or is it going to feel like, throwback to a time period no one really cares? I don't really know. All I know is I watched the trailer and I went, yeah, I'm in the mood for another movie about tornadoes, and not just a Twister. We're going to do Twisters. Other gigantic thing about this one, stars Glenn Powell, my close personal friend whom I have never met in real life, but it is now my goal. I was at a wedding this past weekend for my good YouTube friend, Zach Pope. The topic of conversation when I was sitting at the YouTuber table there was how this is the year I need to start doing more interviews. And we locked in, put the target on Glenn Powell, whether for Hitman or for Twisters. This is the year where I need to finally meet my close personal friend, Glenn Powell, and interview him. And I'm now publicly stating that is our goal for the year. Let's see if we can manifest it and make it happen. Anyway, this movie looks ridiculous. It looks like a lot of fun. Can't wait to check it out. Our runner-up, Deadpool and Wolverine, by far the most anticipated trailer of the night. In the circles that I'm in, people were talking way more about the Deadpool 3 trailer than they were about the Super Bowl. The conversation was about, will it drop? When's it going to drop? What are we going to see? How good will it be? That's what we were talking about. And oh yeah, there's a game attached to this too as well. And it finally dropped right before the game started. And as for me, I thought it was a good trailer. Obviously, it's number 2 on this list of trailers that, Almost all of these I thought were solid. This is like the most high-profile movie of the year. This is our only MCU movie of the year. Hugh Jackman's coming back as Wolverine. So all of that is kind of going into this trailer, and I thought it did a good job. It didn't fully wow me, though. Like, there's a lot here that I'm so excited. Oh, cool, man. It's putting a big grin on my face. But didn't fully wow me, and I don't even think it's the trailer's fault. I think it's the fault of some of the internet culture leaks all kind of surrounding it. Because if you just look at the trailer in and of itself, it's a teaser. And if we didn't have everything that leaked on the internet, if we didn't have set photos, and we didn't like have, it's actually going to be about the TVA and if I didn't know all of that, and I just watched this trailer pure, and we're watching it and TVA shows up, and they're tying into that. Oh, that's kind of interesting. And then they show this battle and we're seeing like, wait, is that the 20th Century Fox logo popping out? Like, what is going on here? And then Wolverine shows up and we know he's in the movie, but getting that tease. It's only a teaser. We don't need to give everything away. We don't need to oversell everything. Just tease it. That'd be cool. That'd be fun. But problem is, this is a movie that has had a tremendous number of leaks and set photos released, where people with telescopic lenses are out shooting stuff. Many of us have criticized a bunch of Marvel movies for spending too much time in front of green screens, digital environments. Deadpool 3, they went out in public, they shot on real locations. That's awesome. Then the downside comes in of the people with the telescopic lenses trying to spoil the movie. And what I mean by that is the set leaks showed us the 20th Century Fox logo popping out of the ground. The set leaks showed us Deadpool and Wolverine walking next to each other. Ryan Reynolds even shared that image. It's all over the internet, and it has been for 8 months. Months! We have seen Hugh Jackman in the classic iconic suit. We've seen shots of other characters showing up, fights, battles in this location that was in the trailer. So when they put out a teaser that separate from all of that would be a really good teaser, the teaser loses its luster. It loses its impact because it didn't actually show us anything new. And that's frustrating because it's not the teaser's fault. It's not the movie's fault. It's not the marketing department's fault. I don't want a teaser to show me too much. This is also why I don't like all of the leaks and the set photos and having this much out there, that it makes it so we see a proper teaser and we go, yeah, I mean, we'd already heard leaks that the TVA was going to be in this. Yeah, we've seen this location. We've seen the 20th Century Fox logo, and we have seen Hugh Jackman in the suit. It was good. It did what it was supposed to do, and I don't think it should have done more. This is why I don't like leaks. This is why I don't want a zillion set photos being released. It's frustrating because I want them to go shoot out in the real world, and then this happens. But coming in at number 1 for me is going to be Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. This is a movie that I cannot wait to see. I loved the previous trilogy of films. The story group is returning. I loved the teaser trailer that they put out. Yesterday, we got the full trailer that's starting to give us a little bit more of the plot, the scenario under which our new hero gets pulled into an adventure, what he's trying to do, what our villain is trying to do without fully overstating everything. And it's kind of exactly what I hoped it would be. The big question mark is, can they give us a character that can carry the franchise the way that Caesar did? We'll find out soon. I'm not quite sure if that's the case or not. But they gave us hints in here that this guy could be that he's not Caesar, but he does have a nobility to him. He's trying to do the right thing in a scenario where he sees injustice. That's interesting. Let's see where that's headed. Other thing kind of in here, a lot of speculation starting to come up is, are they doing Planet of the Apes with this movie? But our new perspective is from the perspective of the apes and the heroes trying to help the humans. And as our Charlton Heston character, now this female lead in this film. There's a lot of speculation because that's kind of always the foundation of these, is that someone's able to talk that's not supposed to be able to talk. 55 years ago, It's a man can talk, like he can talk, and Caesar can talk. And now we do the new one and we're back to humans, but the question is, that means we're looping back. Enough time has passed in the mythology, evolution, all those things. And in Rise of the Planet of the Apes, they have the shuttle take off. It's said in the movie that they pause for a second to talk about the shuttle taking off. And so it's set up in the lore that someone gets caught in this deal, and maybe that's what we're doing here, is that they are in fact doing Planet of the Apes, and our lead lady is our human from the past that has landed on the Planet of the Apes. And they're holding that back a little bit. Is that what? I don't know. That's speculation. I'm kind of interested to see all of what they're trying to do with that. But the fact that I'm like curious and like wanting to learn details and there's mystery surrounding it, that's what a trailer should do. Can't wait to see this movie. So it comes in at number 1. Remember, if you want those delicious, ready-to-eat in 2-minute meals, check out Factor at the link down below in the description. A few weeks back, I was at MegaCon, did several panels. You can see all my panels on that right over here. Thank you so much for watching. Keep talking movies and TV too much. Bye-bye.